Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Last weekend we spent a beautiful day down at Higgins Beach in Maine, and I thought it would be great to take some of the reference photos I took that day and do an oil painting back in the studio. And if you would like a real-time version of the oil painting, you can find it up now in Critique Club over at my Teachable School, and it was about 2 hours to paint this. That's quite surprising given the 4-inch by 12-inch size of this canvas. The canvas I'm using is from Michaels. It's actually really good quality. It is one of the really thick canvases, and I think they're around $15, but they had like a buy one get two free, so I have 2 more that I can use. I was thinking about doing a series because I took a lot of reference photos this day, and maybe I will. And this was also kind of an experiment to film at the easel because I generally don't film at the easel, and I was hoping I could get my palette and reference image on my phone and everything in camera, and it worked pretty well, I think. I put my palette upright, and this worked really well too. I've never done this before. I usually either hold my palette or I lay it on the front of my easel, and I swapped the easels in my studio. I used to have an A-frame back here, but I think that's why I wasn't painting, because it was really difficult to film at that easel because I couldn't bring the mast or the shelf high enough for the canvases because it would hit the ceiling. So I brought in my French easel, and this is working really well. Plus, I can keep all my paints in the easel drawer while I'm working. I'm using a variety of different brands of water mixable oils here, and I also used a couple water mixable oil paint sticks to sketch it in, but honestly, with a canvas this small, I would have been better off just sketching in with a paintbrush. But it's, just kind of an option if you have them and you want to give them some use. I set the screen time to my longest time on my camera, which is 10 minutes, or on my phone rather. So if you are using your phone for a reference, just go in under your settings and you can hit display and then lengthen the time your screen will stay awake so that you don't have to keep turning it on with wet oil painty fingers all the time, which is a good idea. And I'm using a variety of brushes, and I'm sorry I don't know all the different brands of brushes I have because they have been picked up over the years. And I have to say, if you take care of your oil painting brushes, they will last you a long time. And something else I do is when a watercolor brush or an acrylic paint brush gets kind of too battered and the bristles start to splay a bit, I will demote them to oil painting, and the oil, like linseed oil and just the viscosity of the oil paint tends to slick the bristles together so I can still use them quite well, even after they've kind of become a little too frayed for my other mediums. So there's a way to kind of expand your use of your paintbrushes too, especially if you're just kind of doing scruffy blocking in and stuff where you don't really need a really crisp point. Although I do find like old synthetic flat brushes that I've used for acrylic paints that have gotten frayed work great in oil paints. So I love to say that. I love to reuse stuff so that I'm getting like every penny's worth out of a product, and that's a great way to do it. I think I may need to invest in a couple really sharp, bright brushes, but I need to go through what I have, honestly, and this was another reason I wanted to do an oil painting today. I wanted to kind of see what I had, see what needed replacing, and I mean, eventually your brushes do get so battered that maybe the paint's flaking off the handle and they're just in rough shape and they do need to be put out of their misery. But I find that you can get a lot of use out of your oil painting brushes and other medium brushes for oil paints. So at this first stage, I'm pretty much blocking in. Now, one thing you do want to be careful of with oil paints are very similar to soft pastels and oil pastels, honestly. You got to be careful not to put too much white in the beginning because the white is so strong and it's really hard to go and get your darks in afterwards. So working dark to light in oil paints I find is very useful. And I always have to kind of remind myself of this as I'm working. And I do end up getting into a greasy mess in this painting at some point. So this painting took me about 2 hours. But I think if I had really stuck to my dark to light knowledge, it wouldn't have taken so long. What really got me into trouble with this painting was using a palette knife to paint the birds you'll see coming up, and so I ended up having to scrape out a few times. And sometimes you're just going to get into such a greasy mess that you need to be like, okay, I need to just let it set up a bit and come back in a few days. And I was frustrated. I was stubborn. I didn't want to. I wanted to do this alla prima all at once. And so you'll see me kind of reworking some of these areas. Now here I took a fan brush to throw in the major wave that is coming through. And I think that if I had just left it here and let it set up and then come back, I could have finished it in like 10 minutes from this point. But no, I'm like, no, I'm doing this today. I'm finishing this today. And so I made a lot of unnecessary problems. One thing I really liked though was taking the small palette knife and doing the rocks in the Higgins Beach is kind of almost in a little bit of a cove. And so you see this land over to the left side of the beach. And there's a lot of rocks and cliffy areas, and I just loved it. And I was playing with that with the palette knife. And sometimes you can have so much fun, especially with oil paints. Oil paints are a joy to use, but the problem is that you can be having so much fun playing with that palette knife. It's like you're frosting a cake, man. You're just having a grand old time that you end up going overboard and getting mud, and then you have to scrape it out and start again. So you kind of waste materials and waste time, but it's just so fun. And I also was thinking, oh, do I want that building back there? There's like a little building on the cliff. It's not a lighthouse. It's just kind of like somebody's bougie house. And I'm thinking, oh, that might be kind of nice to have that. This is kind of I don't want to say boring painting, but it's not. It doesn't have a lot of focal points. I wasn't really thinking of the birds. The birds really are the focal point. Them kind of like swooping in to, catch crabs and things like that. They're feeding, right? And that's really the focal point, is those birds swooping in at the end. But at this stage, I'm thinking, well, there's not much going on. Maybe I'll put that building in there. And it was just, everything was mixing together and it was giving me grief. But boy, was I having fun with these rocks and the palette knife. And I think maybe I just need to look at some of my reference photos and see if I have just like maybe a rock with a huge wave crashing or something, like, and really just focus it on the rock and have fun with that and do it on a huge canvas, because I think I would really enjoy that. And I have a lot of palette knives, really just enjoy playing with that. And a lot of times with oil paints, if you can put something in right the first time, you can just leave it. And I think that's why I love plein air for landscapes, because I tend to overwork in the studio. But when you're out and about, you are just painting to beat the band. You are trying to get it in before the light changes, before the things move, and so you don't have time to rework. And I think that's why my plein air landscapes I enjoy more. I think they look fresher. Technically, they're no better. Technically, they're very slapdash because you're working so quickly. But I find that I just trust my instincts a lot more when I'm painting plein air, and I just go for it and then I leave it be. And I think that, especially for oil painting, that's something I need to do. And luckily, I have my easel all set up for oil painting right now. Now, truth be told, I actually I've had this French easel for about 30 years, and I really like it, but it's very heavy, and the handle on it is not the greatest. So I did get a new French easel from Lightwish, and the reason I was really interested in that is because it has wheels, and it's got a telescoping handle like luggage has. So. And it's the same size as my standard French easel. I thought it was smaller, but when I held it side by side, it's like, no, it's the same size. Sadly, the drawers aren't interchangeable, but I think that I'm taking that the next time I go plein air, because I got a case. I wanted it. My husband got it for me for my birthday. It was like a canvas. It was called the Art Comber by Jerry's Artorama, and it's supposed to fit a full-size French easel. It will not fit my full-size French easel. I don't know why, but I ended up tearing the bag when I tried to force it in there. And so I'm like, this is for the birds. I'm not doing that. But that new French easel I have with the wheels, I think is going to be ideal. And we're in fall foliage season in Maine right now, and there's a spot, which I'm hoping is still there, a place I painted about 20 years ago on the Cascade stream that just has a great little overlook place where you can park and you can set up your stuff, and it's got a beautiful view. So probably within, I would say a week or two, I want to head out there and try that. So here I'm using the palette knife to put the birds in, and I'm feeling really, really optimistic right now, but this is a small canvas with a palette knife, and I should have probably left the room and just said, okay, I feel good about this right now. I should just leave because it's actually pretty good. And we're at like maybe like the hour mark at this point of this painting. And I could have just left it. I love what's happening in the bottom of the canvas, especially towards the left, where I'm seeing like a little foamy wave action and the sand kind of swirling and mixing together. I'm loving that. I'm loving the like chunky birds in the sky. But sometimes you focus in too much, and if you had just I'm like, if I could talk to my past self, I'd say, Lindsay, just leave the room, put down the brush, don't keep going. There's one bird that looks a little sus, that one in the middle, the tall one the big one, white one in the middle. That one's real sus, but I think the other ones were fixable. But I just, I kind of panicked, I think, and I forced myself to go through with this little brush, and everything is white, and anytime I add anything to it, it's getting all mixed up. And as I zoom into my reference photo, I'm seeing that, wow, because my camera does not take great photos at a distance. I can usually take enough that I can remember from being there in the moment. Like if I take photos knowing I intended to paint them, I'm being really observant anyway, and then I'm taking the photos just for like information. They're not, I'm not a photographer. I use a camera for taking reference photos, but I'm not a photographer. And my phone's not the best. No, even just leave that mark there, Lindsay, and walk away. Walk away for the love of art. Walk away from the painting, Lindsay. I don't walk away. I'm going to keep on pushing and live with the regret. But maybe you won't. So now I'm like, no hope for it. I'm scraping it off. And so then I'm just blending the sky out. So that's a good thing about oils. You can scrape something off and blend it out. Now, walk away. Will you just walk away, lady? Come on. Past me, walk away. Oh, it's so frustrating when you can look back at it and you're like, you know, but it's so hard to judge your painting when you're painting it. That's why I heard a great quote from Angela Fair. She was on my podcast, and she goes, and she heard this quote from someone else, but she said, don't judge a painting with a brush in your hand. That should just be on every t-shirt that we wear. We should be on our smock. We should write it. We should take a Sharpie, write it on our smock so that or write it on our easel. Just write it on, take a Sharpie and write it on that easel so I see it when I'm painting, because man, I write it on my palette. I should have it tattooed on my hand. Don't judge a painting with a brush in your hand. But we do, right? We do. We can't help ourselves. And especially, the thing is when you're painting loose, and I notice it with watercolor a lot, and because I'm more experienced with watercolor, I can remember it, but I'm not as experienced with oils. It's at least not now. I used to paint a lot more in oils before I had children. And my kids are in their early 20s. I would remember that, but you forget, right? And especially with loose watercolor florals, they can look like a hot mess, and you walk away and you come back and it's like everything just tightens up when you walk away, and then it looks right. But when you're in it, man, it can be really hard. Now, then again, I do like how choppy and churny I made the water. It's much more choppy and churny than it was in real life, but I was loving how it was going here. So I decided to be like, okay, yeah, I kind of like this. I like this extra movement that I'm getting, because it was a really windy day. And looking at the video that I showed you at the beginning of the video here, looking at that footage, it doesn't look that choppy, but it was so windy and it was cold. I had like a winter jacket. I had to take a winter jacket out of the back of the Jeep, and it was like a 70-degree day, but with that wind, man, it was cold. And I think I also, because it was so fresh in my mind, I wanted to paint the experience of it. And here I am just bound and determined to put that bird back in. Okay, that looks fine. Leave it, Lindsay. Okay, now just go away. Just go, stop right there. Put the brush down. It's fine. Just leave it, Lindsay. Come on, past me. Why? Why must you care? Okay, it's fine. That looks fine. I flew too close to the sun. I was like these eagles flying too close to the plate of French fries, and just too much. So probably about half of this painting is actually me scraping things off and redoing it. And now, yep, overdid it. What? Yeah, gotta scrape it away. There it goes. Well, so, I feel like you either succeed or you learn in a painting. And the bonus about failing on video is that you get to learn from my mistakes. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get halfway through that painting and you'll be like, you know what? I think I'm going to go take a break. I'm going to go take a walk, go have my lunch. I'm not going to repeat Lindsay's mistake. And I'm just going to let this paint set up a little bit so I don't end up painting the same thing 5 times. I'm going to be efficient with my brush strokes and not repaint this thing. I could have 3 paintings done with the effort and time that I put into this painting, I think. But you succeed or you learn, right? You succeed or you learn. Here, yeah, great. We're going for another bird. Why not, right? Why not? Hope springs eternal in Lindsay's oil painting life. And it probably was okay, but it wasn't what I wanted. What I was trying to impart on the canvas was, I was trying to get really close to the seagulls, and I'd get really close and they'd all freak out and fly away. And that moment where they're all just like taking flight in the air and they're really close to you. That's what I wanted. Just, and the wind and the waves and that chaotic feeling of the ocean is what I wanted to put forward here in this painting. And I guess I got the chaos all right, but I ended up kind of pulling a trick out of my back pocket, and it is using black paint. So up until this point, I had no black paint. I had a very muted triad, a yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and two blues, ultramarine blue and phthalo blue, and I had white. And I was using the ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna for my black, but it just wasn't quite black enough. My ultramarine wasn't as dark as I would have hoped, and I was like, okay, I need contrast in this painting. I'm going to add some ivory black, and I am going to sprinkle it in, mainly to get the tips of the seagull's feathers, wings, because the seagulls are the focus. But I can also mix the black in with the phthalo blue and get a really transparent, super, super dark value for further back near the horizon line. I can add the black into my rocks there on the cliff, on the edge of the little cove there. I can add a little black into the roof because I just could not get it dark enough. The white just gobbled everything up there. And as long as if you do introduce a color at the end, like a pure black or pure white that you haven't been using throughout, just mix it in with other things so that it is harmonized, and just kind of cross-pollinate your painting that way. And then it won't look like you have black holes in your painting. Plus, everything was still wet, so I knew I wasn't going to get the black hole effect because it's going to mix in with what was underneath. In the end, I decided to just leave it to the 3 birds. I'm not sure if I like that better than having the 5, but I might revisit this and actually sketch out, make a really detailed sketch and maybe transfer it on. I don't know. I end up covering everything anyway, so I don't even know if that would be advisable unless I'm working really large. But in the end, I came up with something that I was happy with, and you'll see I've got to increase some of the contrast here. I got to add a little more detail to the foreground where the waves are, and I'm going to add a little more sea spray towards the end, and we'll go in real time for the sea spray at the end because I want to show that technique. I think it's really fun. And you may want to wear gloves. I don't wear gloves. I'm using water mixable oils mainly for the ease of cleanup and because I don't want the stinky solvents open unless I have all my my door to the outside and my studio door open, which I actually did when I was painting, but it was unnecessary, but it was such a nice day I figured why not. But if I was using even odorless mineral spirits, I like to have good ventilation to keep everything nice and healthy. And here I'm adding that black to the phthalo blue, like I mentioned, and just kind of going in with some darker values. I'm using the palette knife because I feel like I was just getting too fussy with the brush, and I wanted to keep the energy that sometimes when you spend too long in a painting, you lose the energy of it. And I wanted to get that energy back. So a palette knife is a nice way to do that. Now, one thing I noticed here, I was evenly spacing those dark patches too much, and I had done that a bit with the crests on the waves too. And it's very easy for us to do. We like to evenly space things. We like to make things symmetrical. We like to make things line up, but it is not great for composition. So when I noticed that, I went ahead and broke it up. And I also dragged some of that white paint into the swoop of the wave to give it a little bit more form and detail. Now I did make the wave way bigger. It's way swoopier than what we have in the reference photo, but I've seen enough waves in my time. I observe waves a lot when I'm at the coast, and I decided to go with it, and it helped just kind of give the painting a little bit more zest that it needed because it was just being a little too blah. So here I'm just mixing water from a spray bottle with my white paint on a big chunky bristle brush, and I'm just using my finger to spray it. You can use a smaller brush for more control. This was too big. This painting was too small to use a toothbrush. I can get a lot more detail from this little bristle chunky brush there. And that's pretty much how I finished it off. And in the end, I liked it. In the end, when I forget the struggle in years to come, I'll really like it, I think. But if you'd like a real-time tutorial for this, you can find it up now in Critique Club. I'll have all the products I used linked below. And you can do this in acrylics or gouache if you don't want to do it in oils, just fine. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye!